go ahead and get started. Is everybody here, or let me ask this question, is everybody here in coaching currently, or is there anybody out of coaching?
Yes, I'm in coaching.
In coaching. Okay, great. All right. I'm going to gear the training a little bit more towards new agents that are in productivity coaching if there's no kind of intermediate agents in there. So we'll just go into take it from the very start. So we are first going to start with the CMA. So I don't want to spend too much time on the CMA. I want to just go over the basics of what the CMA is or what is included. On MLS, we have this great resource through MetroList. It's Cloud CMA. So if you click on CMA right here, it'll pop up. This is the easiest way to do it. There's several ways to do it. You can do it, you can pull comps through MLS. You can pull comps, you can look at, sales on your smartphone, realtor.com or Zillow. It doesn't matter where you pull the comps. When you do submit your listing for compliance purposes, we do have to have a CMA, something that you do show. So however you do it, wherever it's formatted, the most important things are the parameters and really what we're looking for in order to get that value. One of the parameters is we want to make sure that the sales are within the last 90 days because that's what appraisers look at. The parameters appraisers use are a like property, so very similar bedrooms and bathroom count. So if it's a 3 bed, 2.5 bath, you want to look at similar property style. You don't want to pull comps and use a 5 bedroom or a 2 bed, 1 bath or a condo if it's not. So if it's single family, we want to pull a single family property, same bedrooms, maybe give or take 1 or 2 bedrooms, but not really. For the most part, it's going to be very comparable to what the property is, sales within the last 3 months. So appraisers at times will go outside if it's a rural property or if it's a specific type of property. Say if it's a property and there's an ADU, then they can go outside. But most it's, looking at very similar beds and bathrooms, square footage, age of the house, and sales within 1 mile radius. And if it's within the last 90 days. So that's really the important part of it. So, like I mentioned, we'll go to MetroList and you click on Cloud CMA and it'll pull up any reports that you have here. So you can go back to any reports here. So the property that we're going to use today for training purposes is 1440 Golden Gate. And so I actually don't want to use the live. I'm going to edit here. Okay. So you add in title of the report, subject property information here. It automatically pulls it. So you start typing in the address. Let me move this over here. If you start typing in the address here, let's see. Okay, where did it go? Here we go. If you start typing it in, it automatically will pull bedrooms, bathrooms, and square footage. Property type residential, if there was a subtype, if it was 2 houses on one lot, or if there was any additional things here that you would put. There's not. So this property is a listing appointment that I'm going to be listing that I want on Saturday. So that's why I'm using it. So we're doing kind of a run through using it. I like to use live properties or properties that we're be using. Um, so how do you get comparative listings? I like to do the quick and dirty, automatically find listings near the subject property, at least 10 lists, and this automatically populates to 1 year, but you want to put 3 months. So I always correct that to go back to 3 months. I don't like to go any further than that. There's really not a purpose unless it's a specific property. So if you start getting into rural properties that are particular tricky, then we can go out to get an estimate of value. But 3 months is pretty good. And then we click here, update listings, and then all of the listings are going to populate. They pull properties, pended, and active properties with good indication of range of what property is going to be worth. So I have a slow connection, like I said today. Okay. Okay. While that let's see. Okay, sorry guys. We got kicked off there. I had a bad connection. So let's can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Can anyone hear me? Okay, all right. All right. Back. Sorry about that interruption. All right. So we are on doing our comps. Okay, this might not work, guys. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm gonna go over, we'll see if that will pull up. So we're gonna start out just on the listing agreement, and then if that populates in, we're gonna get back to the comps and the CMA. So here's the listing agreement. A couple of things regarding the type of listing agreement. So I had an agent call me this week and asked if we could do single property listing. So just list a property on MLS, and we don't do that. So any of the, we can't just put a property on MLS for a seller. So we're a full service brokerage. We don't do the flat fees. So if somebody asks you for that, the answer is no, we can't just do the flat fee type listings. Another question that came up is open listing. So there's different types of listing. There's open listing, and the one that we use primarily is exclusive listing. That means we are the exclusive listing agent. You are listing the property. They're not in a relationship or working relationship with any other agents. Now, if you do an open listing and you take on that listing, if the owner finds the buyer, you don't get compensated. And if another agent finds the buyer, you also don't get compensated. So you're taking on the listing with all the expenses, staging costs, photography, all of those additional costs, and you're not guaranteed to get compensated. And so, especially as new agents, we only are doing the exclusive listings, a case by case basis, especially with the higher price points of properties where we can do open listings. But for the most part, we are going to just use the exclusive listing agreement. Okay. Try and reload. Let's see my screen with the listing agreement here. Okay. Here I'm going to just go into the basic information. You can save this. I'd be happy to send you a printout of the copy when you're going through your listing agreement, just exactly how to fill out the agreement. Date prepared, if you automatically click there, the date prepared shows exclusive right to sell, the name of the seller. So, okay, let's see if we can get back in here. Okay, here we go. We do quick and dirty, 3 months. Maybe I was just a little hopeful. Okay. All right, let's get back over here. Okay. Let's see. Name the first seller. Okay. Okay. And then under broker, we put our name. So it's KW Sac Metro. Exclusive right to sell the property. And then we would put the property address. So 1440 Golden Gate Avenue, situated in Stockton. And our county, San Joaquin County. Code is 95205. Okay. What I like to is I pull a property profile. So you can use the title companies have these where you can pull all the property information. I like to do it, get my APN from here. It also goes into information about the bedrooms, bathrooms, and what I like to look at down here is their mortgage information. So I know that they did a reverse mortgage. And so it has that amount, 489. That's not the amount that they drew on. I know that it's not a big deal, but it is to know what type of mortgage they have. This will give you an idea when you're doing the seller's net sheet, kind of a baseline of what they owe. Okay. I pull the APN from here. I also look at if it's a and in this particular one, I know that they have not in the past listed it in MLS. She's owned it since 1975 and it's never been sold. But if I knew the property had been sold, I'll pull up on MLS property. So I'll type information in and I'll pull up from MLS. This particular one, I know it's not on there. So I pull up the just the property information from a property and I add an APN there. Listing period. So we are going to the date that you're going to list it, ending on I do 6-month listing. You can change it. So it can be shorter time frame. Standard is about 6 months, over 24 months. A year is also a little excessive and lesser. When you pull up comps and you do a CMA and you're looking at how many days on market on average, if your average days on market, like this particular property is between 60 and 90 days on market, and so I'm not going to do a 90-day listing because it's going to take probably that long. By the time we find a buyer, we want a contract, and then a 30-day escrow period, going to take a little bit longer. So listing period is going to be 6 months. So April, May, June, July, August. Let's do Friday. Okay. Listing price. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I'll try to make it quick so we can have make sure that I have this internet connection. Okay, 350 our list price. When I talked to the sellers over this weekend, they said yes, approximately 350 is what we're looking at for price wise. Comp supported that. They're going to do a little bit of work on the property, and then we're going to list at a later date. So once we go to the MLS listing form that's at the towards the end of this training, I'll touch on that, what to do when you go to list a property and the time frame when you have to put it on the market if there's some time frame discrepancy there. Okay, property specific listing, if it was a manufactured home or probate, conservatorship, etc., it would go there. And they added this nice thing in here: the amount or rate of real estate commission is not fixed by law. So these conversations that you're having with the seller on compensation. So what I like to say is, you know, my compensation is 3%. That's what I charge across the board. However, another agent who's bringing the buyer, they will present the type of compensation and it's standard that they ask to be compensated from the seller. Is that okay with you? So we go into this discussion. Do not put I see this sometimes where they'll put additional on the additional remarks, you know, seller is willing to pay the buyer up to whatever percentage. You don't put that on this form, okay? So don't put it on the listing agreement, the amount that they're going to compensate a buyer's broker. Okay, I'll go back up here.
Hey, Lisa.
Sorry, you guys. Okay, can you guys see my screen?
No, can you reshare your screen?
Okay. Okay, there we go. Okay, compensation to seller's broker. So this is only the seller side of the transaction. Your percentage, I'll just put 3 there. And if there was any additional amount to be compensated, or if there was a flat fee, or if there was a broker created compensation schedule, for the sake of the training, the normal standard way of doing it is just to put your compensation right here. Okay. This form here, this box here, C2, is additional compensation to seller's broker if there's unrepresented. So the best scenario where this comes into play is you're hosting an open house and a buyer walks in and says, I don't want representation. I bought a house before and I want to do it myself. I'm not asked for compensation. I'm going to give the seller what they want as far as price and their net amount, but I don't want representation. So you don't have to, know that it's working with other agents to get things done correctly, other people who are licensed. So it is going to take additional work when you're working direct the buyer because they still have to abide by the timeline, the disclosures. We need certain things back from them. It's going to take a little bit extra work. So you can get an extra percentage. You can do 1%, 2%. You can get the full 3%. Standard, what I like to put is 1 or 1.5% additional amount, or you can do a flat fee, whatever your seller, whatever you feel and whatever your seller agrees upon is the amount that you can put in there. So you can get an extra 1%. You are going to have additional work. So if you're working with an unrepresented buyer, there's going to be additional weight that you have to pull. So that is why we're getting that additional amount. So this is not the spot where you put in compensation for a buyer's agent. You can let your client know once they receive an offer and okay, guys, why don't we do this? Because this internet connection is it's frustrating for me. It's probably frustrating for you as well. Do we have any questions? Does anyone have questions regarding the listing agreement, regarding how to do the listing agreement? Does anyone have questions they want to ask? Because I know we're cutting in and out. I'm not sure. I'm probably going to be a little bit frustrating. So does anyone have questions about it? Okay, let me do a vote. Do you all want me to just continue going even if it keeps cutting out?
Yes, please.
Okay, guys, what I was saying is if there's anybody on here, if we want to do a quick vote, if you don't mind us just next week doing the listing training, or if you want to email me with questions, let me know. But I'm not sure if anybody is on here that is fully participating because nobody's come off mute or chat or anything. So I'm going to go ahead and you can feel free to reach out to me. I do all for not having the unstable internet connection here. I didn't realize that when I started doing the training. So I'm going to log off. If you all have questions about the listing, you can reach out to me separately. But aside from that, I'm going to end the Zoom. All right, guys, have a good rest of your day.